This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. On this week's episode of Math and Magic, I'm sitting down with the one and only Bobby Bones. We're exploring the power of audio.
Yeah, I don't fit into one specific hole. I think that is what endeared me to listeners. That's why I'm here now, because I talk to people that grew up like me, have sensibilities like me, and have loyalties like me.
Listen to Math and Magic, stories from the frontiers of marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
Minnesota, get ready for an unforgettable night. ZZ Top.
ZZ Top. Got a whole lot of love.
ZZ Top is bringing their legendary rock sound to the Ledge Amphitheater on June 12th, and you could be there. Check out our contest page for your chance to win tickets. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest to enter.
Here we are, hour number 2. After a fast-paced, controversial first hour, we start hour number 2 with 5, 3, 4.
For 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shout a hip hooray! Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
Your Minnesota Twins have won 8 games in a row. Deshaun Kersey Jr. hit a walk-off RBI single to give the Twins a 7-6 win over the San Francisco Giants yesterday. Twins have also won 9 consecutive home games, tied for the longest streak in Target Field history. And they're now over one game over 500 and just a half game back of a wild card spot in the American League. Common, can we now talk about the Twins being playoff contenders?
Well, I guess I just find that how many games are we out of the wild card?
Half.
And we have another 100 games to play. I just think it's a little early to start talking about playoff possibilities, but that's just me. Some of the teams they've been beating have left a little bit to be desired, other than the San Francisco. I guess the Red Sox are okay. They're about a 500 club. Twins won 2 there, but San Francisco was a formidable foe, at least record-wise. Giants are 24-17 now, which means they were 24-14 when they came to town. So it's nice to see. It's why there was no reason to hit the panic button early. I mean, had they, they were kind of on that precipice of, if they wouldn't have put it together and started winning some games, at one point they were, I think, 7 games out of first place, and they were playing poorly at the time. It's like, you lose too many more and suddenly you're 13, 14 out. Not insurmountable, but there are 3 teams above. It's sort of like on a PGA leaderboard, Tennessee. You may only be 6 shots back of the leader, but there's like 8 guys between you. I mean, you got a lot of people you got to hop over. And with as good as, the Twins division is, not only is it competitive, but the teams are all, just to eliminate the White Sox. The Twins are 512 winning percentage, and yet they're 5 games out of first place.
And they're 4th in their division.
Even
though they're a half game out of the wild card spot.
Exactly. So it goes to show you how competitive the division is, and it is a good division. I don't know where it ranks all time, going back, from now to last year, the year before, 5 years ago, 10, 12, 20, 30, 50 years ago. But is really good right now. And so, what's
bizarre is they've won 8 in a row, and I don't feel like they've made up a ton of
exactly.
I mean, they made up some ground, but
that's why they needed to win those games, because had they continued on the way they were, literally, they'd probably be about 10, 12 games out of first. You get too far out, you have 3 teams you gotta jump: the Royals, Guardians, Tigers. Now there are wild cards, so you don't have to jump them all, but and look, their pitching staff they're good. It's not 1970s Baltimore Orioles, and it's certainly not the 90s Braves staff. And we were close to that when we had Blackburn, Slowey. Who was it? Blackburn, Slowey, Scott Baker. We were close.
Was Joe Mays in that group?
It may have been. We were close to being 1990s. Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox.
I think Perkins or Dunsing might have been in that mix.
Who were the 4? Was Glavine, Smoltz, Maddox, and somebody else? Avery. Those 4 guys. Don't nominate me for a PST, Triple B, Triple I. I'm not saying the Twins starting staff is that good, but they're pretty good. The bullpen's been pitching better again. Now, the bullpen gave up some games, and Buxton, didn't he have a couple of games where he struck out like 4 out of 6 times, or 6 out of 8, but he's been, for the most part, hitting the ball as well as anybody. Correa's starting to bust out a little bit. As Royce Lewis got 1 hit. Didn't he finally get a hit? He's back now. I think he got a hit. It was either yesterday's game or
first, and was it 28 at bats?
Yeah, and I think he drove in a run.
Might have been more than that, 30-some.
So good for him.
I think it was 36, and the record for the Twins was 40.
So maybe it's all starting to come together for this club, but it's a long way to go. Much as we certainly here on the Grum didn't panic about, well, it's over. I mean, we had some cause for concern. I don't think anybody can say you didn't, but that's why I'm not ready to start planning the parade route for the Wolves. I am. For the Twins, not quite yet.
Question number 2. And now it's time to go in the paint.
NBC announced today that they've added Michael Jordan as a special contributor to the NBA and NBC on Peacock. Common, would Michael Jordan as a contributor get you to tune in?
I watch so little basketball and so little of the studio stuff other than Chuck, Shaq, and Kenny the Jet. I'm sure Jordan's done it before. He must have.
I don't know if he has.
So he's never been involved at all.
Do you ever remember him?
I don't, but I'm just wondering if maybe because he's been out of the league for so long that maybe he did it for a short stint, or at least I'm sure he's guested once or twice. I don't know how good he would be at it. That's the thing. I mean, when Brady has gotten, I'll admit Brady has gotten a little bit better than I thought he was. When Brady first started, I guess it's hard. You can't really simulate it, I don't think. And, all right, Tom, we're going to have you and who's his partner, Brady's? What's the guy's name?
Burkhardt. I don't even know who it is, yeah.
It's not like, well, why don't you guys just watch games and pretend you're doing it? It's just not the same. And Brady I didn't think was very good early, but he's gotten better, starting to loosen up. Romo's kind of gone the opposite direction. People loved him because he was Nostradamus, where he was predicting every play that was before. But so I mean, Jordan's got insight, and he's got the legacy, he's got the rings. But does that translate into being an entertaining? So else I'm looking, is he entertaining enough?
Yeah, personality.
Does he have a personality? I mean, and can he make it work? I don't know. I guess I'll give it a watch, but be hard to top Kenny, Chuck, and Shaq, in my opinion.
Question number 3. It's time now to focus on the frost.
That's like walking on ice, right? Like ice.
Yeah,
I like
cracking.
it.
Yeah,
I like it.
The Frost beat the Toronto Scepters 7-5 last night at XL Energy Center, the highest scoring game in the PWHL's 2-year history. Michaela Cava and Brooke McQuiggy each scored a pair of goals. The Frosts have scored 25 goals in their past 5 games, and they lead that best-of-5 series 2-1 with Game 4 in Wednesday night in St. Paul with a chance to close it out. Common, your thoughts on the Frost?
Let's make the Frost a horse racing analogy. They're that horse that comes from well behind at
they're closers.
They're closers.
Yeah.
Because last year, didn't they lose like their last 5-10 games? They were just awful, right? They
barely got into the playoffs.
Right, they barely
same
got
thing this year.
And the same thing this year. They won the World Championship last year, and now they're and
they were down 2-0 in a 5-game series to the same Toronto team.
There you go.
Last year, and then they were down Game 1 in this series.
So as Yogi Berra once said, or was it Yogi Bear? There's plenty of picnic baskets in Jellystone Park, and he also said, stranger things have happened. No, what was I going to say? Oh, better late than never.
Yeah.
Something like that. So, yeah, they come from behind, so good for them. Look, it's we don't get a lot of world championships here. The Lynx have won a handful. We have our 2 with the Twins, and that's about it. So, go Frost.
Question number 3. It's time now for multiple choice.
Common, which headline at ESPN.com would you most likely click on? A, Giannis open to exploring best fits outside Bucks.
Ooh.
B, you've already discussed this, Eagles to host Cowboys in 2025 season opener. C, Jake Paul promotion adds Marshall Cameron. D,
who's Marshall Cameron?
It's a comma. Marshall, Cameron.
Oh, I see.
D, PGA Championship tier rankings from Scotty to Rory to just happy to make the cut. Or E, what to know about Monday's NBA draft lottery.
What was that first one?
Giannis open to exploring best fits outside of Bucks.
That would be me. The others don't do a whole lot for me. The PGA Championship, I'll just watch live from and get everything I need to know there. Antetokounmpo. I wonder if Rosen calls him that, or if he has a different way to pronounce it, depending upon what day of the week it is. But Antetokounmpo, he'd be a nice. Do you think, if you'll remember, Tenneby, John Bonus didn't think Ohtani would be a good fit here with the Twins. Do you think Antetokounmpo would be a good fit with the Timberwolves, or do you think he wouldn't?
I think he'd be a good fit.
You think? See, I'm not sure.
I think we can make it work.
I'm not sure it would. I think it would be much like Ohtani wouldn't fit here. So yeah, he's a game changer for sure. It'd be devastating for the Bucks, right? I mean, he's their guy.
Yes.
But boy, he sure would.
I'd take him.
Yeah. I mean, think of him right now and just place him on any, put him with the Knickerbockers. Put him with Golden State. Put him with the Wolves. Put him with Oklahoma City. I mean,
Lakers.
Yeah. You talk about how that would change the complexion for all those clubs. There's a little 5-3-4. We go to break. We got bonus bucks, Tenneby.
Yeah, the Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our National Cash Contest. Enter the keyword bank at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. The keyword is bank. Enter now, KFAN.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. On this week's episode of Math and Magic, I'm sitting down with the one and only Bobby Bones. We're exploring the power of audio.
The word on the street then was he's too country for pop. But then once I got to country, it was he's too pop for country. So I kind of never really had a place to fit in, but that's exactly how and why I fit. I just embraced that. I don't fit into one specific hole. I think that is what endeared me to listeners. That's why I'm here now, because I talk to people that grew up like me, have sensibilities like me, and have loyalties like me.
Listen to Math and Magic, stories from the frontiers of marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All not to get lucky.
KFAN and Sukup Manufacturing bring you Fan on the Farm. Starting May 19th, 9 to noon, we'll be taking your tractor talk packs. Each day, one farmer will be chosen to receive a Sukup prize pack, including a Carhartt cooler and a Brewmate Growler canteen. Get the full details at KFAN.com/farm. Sukup Manufacturing Company, helping farmers feed and fuel the world.
Leo got baseball tonight, Tanner?
Not tonight.
No, so you're wide
Tomorrow
open.
night.
You're wide open?
Ingrid's got dance, but...
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Wolves at Warriors, 9 o'clock start. How long will you make it into the game?
I'll plan on watching the whole thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you generally...
I've watched every Wolves game.
Are you generally one of those people that's able to stay awake at a 9 o'clock start if you're in? Or do you... Like, sometimes doesn't matter how into the game I'm at. I become comatose rather quickly. I don't know if I can make it to the end tonight. I don't know. I'll try, but I don't know. But you'll make it, do you think?
I think I will.
Okay, good, because then you can talk about I'll break down the first half, you break down the second half, right? We'll be a team. Because I'll see the first half, but I won't make it to the second half, and then you can break down the second half. So I'll just go. And then at the halftime, it was, Wolves leading, 56-54. Second half, 10-0. And then you can go.
Now, what if the Wolves are leading by 20 points with like 6 minutes left in the third quarter? Can I duck out at that point? 20-point leads, though, in these basketball playoffs are not given to be secured.
Well, then what you do is you just come on and you rip the club. You just go,
sure.
Thanks a lot. I mean, I thought you had it wrapped up, so I went to bed. Why would you do that to me?
Hopefully they have a big enough lead that I can go to bed early.
How about this text message that came in? We were talking about, somebody had a schedule scoop. You like that, Tenemy?
Schedule scoop?
Schedule scoop is, or how about scope out the schedule? They're all real good. But they've already released your guy. My sources tell me that it's going to be Eagles hosting the Cowboys in week 1. And you and I were both sort of, I wouldn't say we were aghast. Great word, aghast. Are you familiar with it?
Yes.
I wouldn't say we were aghast, but we still thought, well, what up with that? Dallas, America's team. And then I get this text message. It says, Philly-Dallas is one of the best rivalries in sports. Way better than seeing the Chiefs versus a rando team every opening day. Dallas is always a big draw in sports, whether you like it or not. Here comes the kicker, though, Timmy. I'm a Cowboys fan in Minnesota. I personally hate all the attention, but you can't deny this is a great opener for the season and an all-time rivalry. What do you mean you hate the attention? You're a Dallas fan. You love the attention. Everybody loves when their team is paid attention.
I also don't like how can you deny it's not a great matchup?
Yeah.
Dallas has been awful.
Well, he says it's a great rivalry.
Well, that doesn't matter.
No,
the team's been terrible.
Right.
The current state of the team has not been good. Now it's the NFL, anything can change.
Yeah.
But last year's Cowboys going into this year, it's not like, I got to watch that team. That's a team to look out for.
I agree with you. But he was trying to say, you can say it's one of the best rivalries in sports. There's a lot of great rivalries in sports. They don't just match them up.
Especially in the NFL.
Yeah, they don't just match them up because of the rivalries. I mean, a lot of times rivalries are just there because there's so few teams in a division, so of course there's great rivalries, right? Baltimore-Pittsburgh was always a great rivalry, right? Ravens-Steelers have a lot of great games.
Eagles-Giants is a good rivalry. Doesn't mean that should be your first game.
That's exactly right.
I would rather see Washington there.
Giants-Washington. Giants, any of those are great rivalries. Yeah. So, yeah, I can't... And he says, you can't deny this is a great opener for the season. I can deny it. It's not a great... If Dallas was considered one of the top 5 teams in the league, I'd give it to you. I'd say, I don't really like Dallas, but man, it's a great club. But they're not now. They could win, right? But it's not a matchup I think that the nation is clamoring for. I think it's more of I don't even know how I just don't believe in all this. There are teams in the country that there are football teams that the entire country loves, like Dallas is America. Like, do you think that many people really care about Philadelphia? I think unless you are an Eagles fan, you don't care about the Eagles. Now, you understand that they got to put it. 2 teams have to play in that game. Can't always be your favorite team, and they always go with the defending big game world champion in that game. So, okay, we'll go with Philadelphia, but you don't have to. I would rather see, like, Washington would have been a much better game.
Correct.
Way better. Or how about,
Detroit.
I mentioned Detroit.
Yeah.
Heck, the Vikings would be better than that.
Oh, do we play Philadelphia?
No, but I'm just saying, I guess we don't. But I guess, I guess you can't do that. But my point is, just contending teams. Maybe Dallas will surprise people. But I don't expect too much from Dallas this year, unless we know stranger things have happened. I get it. I also saw this story, Teneby. It's sort of what I've said forever about. Oh, please don't tell me why isn't it coming up? Because this, I could kill a.
Well, the Eagles do play the Vikings this year.
They do.
Yeah. So the NFC North plays the NFC East.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, Detroit would have worked because Detroit is a home game for Philadelphia.
Okay.
But they also play Green Bay and Minnesota both away. They also play the Chiefs, which would be a great one to have on.
There you go.
But that one's at Kansas City, so I think they have to have it at Philadelphia for that one.
Is it Tyrese Halliburton? You familiar with him, Teneby? He came under this is a story I think, something called Fadeaway World. It says Tyrese Halliburton came under the media's microscope after his colleagues across the NBA voted him the most overrated player in the NBA. Following this, he also had altercations with Damian Lillard, and his father had a controversial exchange with Antetokounmpo that got him banned for the remainder of the playoffs. Ever since these incidents, all eyes have been on how Halliburton is performing in the playoffs. After the Pacers' 129-109 win over the Cavs, Halliburton addressed the media regarding the scrutiny he's faced over the playoffs. When a reporter asked Halliburton what it was like to navigate being a star, here's what he said. It's just basketball, bro. I get paid. Just love this. I love this. It's just basketball, bro. I get paid a lot of money to pay a child's game. So I love what I do. I love my job. Yeah. I don't even really look at it as a job. I have a lot of fun with what I do, and I think there's always commentary behind what I do, positive or negative. And it's hilarious, because a lot of times there's people who know nothing about me that have so much to say. It's usually the people who don't come around or don't spend any time around me that have the most to say, but that's all part of it. I'm a basketball player. I love what I do. I love being here in Indiana. I love playing for this organization. I feel like criticism sometimes is warranted, sometimes it's not, but it's all a part of it. It's just basketball, bro. I play a child's game. And, you and I have had that discussion over the years that I think fans and media sometimes, I think in most cases, take it more serious than the players themselves. Though there are some, players that legacies and championships mean everything to them. They do I think they all take it seriously to a certain extent. But let's say it's in the NFL, Teneby, you lose a really devastating game at the last second, right? And you get knocked out of the playoffs to it, but an arch rival. Fans get mad when they see the guys laughing on the sidelines, right after the game. The game's been over for 2 minutes, and they're over there exchanging jerseys with guys on the other team, and they're laughing and hugging each other like, how can you feel that way after you just lost? Well, it's because it's just football, bro. It's all it is. It's a job. They don't even like to have jobs. So they would rather win than lose, but at the end of the day, they're not good. For some reason, they just don't seem to be as upset as the fans, and I think I can understand why. So there you go. We'll pause, come back. More controversial Vikings news on the other side of the break here on the Common Man program on The Fan.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. On this week's episode of Math and Magic, I'm sitting down with the one and only Bobby Bones. We're exploring the power of audio.
The word on the street then was he's too country for pop. But then once I got to country, it was he's too pop for country. So I kind of never really had a place to fit in, but that's exactly how and why I fit. I just embraced that. I don't fit into one specific hole. I think that is what endeared me to listeners. That's why I'm here now, because I talk to people that grew up like me, have sensibilities like me, and have loyalties like me.
Listen to Math and Magic, stories from the frontiers of marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program. Make your voice heard on the Brad, Sean, Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your messages 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
They've either added an untold number of water hazards at Quail Hollow, or else it's just it's a deluge of rain. There'll be no practice rounds today at Quail Hollow and I'm not sure what number PGA Championship it is, but there's been a lot of them. That's this week, the second major of the season. Scotty Scheffler, a little disappointing. Tenby, 2 weeks ago, he only birdied half the holes in the first two rounds. So it's like, what's wrong with the guy? But we'll talk more PGA Championship as the week progresses. I think I got to figure it out, Tenby. I can hear big voice guy now. Time now for squint at the schedule. You like that?
I like it.
I like squint at the schedule. Do you ever try to determine? It's an inexact science because teams all change from year to year, but NFL strength of schedule. And I think it's basically just determined on what the team's records were the season before, right? And we know that can change dramatically, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Who do you think has, I did a little math here, I broke down some numbers. Who do you think has the toughest schedule, strength of schedule, according to, the percentages of wins and losses from last year? What team do you think it is, Tenneby?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Every year you kind of have a rotation of you play another NFC division, right. You play an AFC division. So without knowing all of that, my guess is just because the Vikings or the NFC North was, from a winning percentage standpoint, the strongest division in the history of football, that right. Those four teams would have a challenging schedule because they all have to face each other twice.
Right. So
I'm guessing, I guess you could go with the Lions just because they also have the other first place teams that they're going up against, but the Vikings as well. I would think they both have very challenging schedules.
You're close, but wrong on both accounts.
Yeah.
The New York Football Giants. And they were terrible last year. Aren't they supposed to have an easy schedule? It says after going 3-14 last season, the Giants might have a tough time topping that record this year, thanks to a brutal strength of schedule. Their 574 mark is the highest in the NFL. The Giants' home schedule is especially brutal, with 6 of their 8 games coming against teams that made the playoffs last season. Eagles, Commanders, Packers, Vikings, Chiefs, and Chargers. Not to mention they also have home games against the 49ers and Cowboys, who both made the playoffs 2 years ago.
So that's the overrated part of, and I was just guilty of it a minute ago, but when you do they have the last place schedule, right, or they have the first place schedule, that only accounts for 2 games.
Right, correct.
It's the 2 NFC teams that you're not playing their division. So it makes sense for the Giants because everything I just said about the NFC North, well, they are playing all 4 teams in the NFC North.
That's correct.
And because they were the worst team in their division, the 3 teams above them, they have to face those teams for a total of 6 times. So
the second most difficult schedule actually belongs to 2 teams. The Detroit Lions and Chicago Bears are tied at 571. Out of those 2, the Lions arguably have the more brutal schedule because they'll be playing 12 games against teams that finish with a winning record in 2024. Now, as we said, things change from year to year, but that's 12 of the 17 games against teams with winning records. So that's every week, unless, again, injuries or because teams take a step back, you're going to be facing really difficult competition. They also have 11 games against teams that made the playoffs last year, which is tied with the Eagles for the most. So 11 playoff teams, as are the Eagles. The Eagles have a brutal road schedule. Philadelphia will play 6 road games against teams outside the NFC East. All 6 of those games come against teams that made the playoffs last year. Chiefs, Bills, Packers, Vikings, Chargers, and Buccaneers. Eagles have the 4th toughest strength of schedule overall at 561. The Vikings, they have them all listed here. Just going to scroll down all the paragraph stuff. The Vikings are tied for 5th with the Packers as strength of schedule. They are at both at 557. So, and as you mentioned, a lot of that has to do, you're playing with teams that in your own division that were so good last year. So it's there's no easy.
Teams are playing all the same teams except for 2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Bears are tied.
Maybe 3.
Bears are tied at 2 with the Lions, and Vikings and Packers are tied at 5. So all 4 teams are going to have to earn their victories this year. There's not a lot of gimmies on the schedule, it doesn't look like. But again, depending upon, the other thing is, Ted, I played the game at a fairly high level. I generally don't like to talk about my athletic achievements in depth. I might just bring them up every once in a while. But, I played both sides of the ball in football. Fierce pass rushing, rocket Gibraltar run-stopping defensive lineman, precise route running, shredded pass-catching tight end. And it's not always who you play, but it's when you play them. And you can use that if you want, right?
I like it.
So, if you play a team that is, they start out the season and they're really good, and you lose to them. Then 6 weeks later, they've lost their starting quarterback and their edge rusher and a linebacker, and they're just a shell of what they were. And then the other team gets to play them. It's like, well, we're not preparing to play Pat Mahomes. We're playing whoever their back. I don't even know who their backup is.
It was Carson Wentz last year, but I think he's still a free agent.
Let's go with Carson Wentz. So you're playing against Carson Wentz. I mean, that's a big difference. So you're really not playing the same team, regardless of what their record was the season before. They're just not that good. So while strength of schedule certainly plays into your attempt to sort of
even going into last year, right? If you had the Washington Commanders on your schedule, you thought, well, there's an easy game. And then they ended up being one of the better teams in the NFC with Jaden Daniels having a great rookie season.
Something else I think we should bring up, Tenneby, because I think this is it's a hell of a run for David Carr. He announced his retirement over the weekend. 23 years he played in the league. Played college ball at Fresno State. Drafted number 1 overall in 2002 by Houston. His most successful stints were with the aforementioned Texans and with the Las Vegas Raiders, finally finishing his career with the Saints. He threw for over 55,000 yards and over 300 tutties. He never won the big game, but his something like 322 touchdowns and his something like 55,697 yards passing might warrant a look at Cooperstown consideration. Man, that's a long career, especially for a quarterback. I mean, I guess Brady played a long time too, but I don't think many guys played that much football.
Well, and the way he resurrected his career, because when he was drafted number 1 overall by the Texans, he was kind of considered a bust there for a while. And he just kept coming on and played well with the Raiders and the Saints. And so,
yeah, he's got to be proud of himself. And I really think it's a hell of a career that has come to an end. And I'm going to miss him. I do know that. See if there's some more NFL schedule rumors. I think I got some more, Tenneby. No, he's pretending he had them. Oh, well, this is one. The Friday, September 5th in Brazil. Is this official or is this just the schedule leak? Chiefs at Chargers in Brazil.
Ooh.
Chiefs at Chargers will be playing in Brazil. Those are the only 2 schedule leaks that I can see right now. The one with the okay, wait, hold on. It does. This is another schedule leak. Sunday, October 5th, Vikings versus the Browns in London. And you had talked about how you and Ben Lieber both work in the same sources. You're fairly confident they'll be playing both in London and Ireland in back-to-back weeks, right? So Vikings-Browns in London on Sunday, October 5th. Sunday, October 12th, Broncos versus Jets in London. Broncos versus Jets in London. Here's another London leak. Rams versus Jaguars on Sunday, October 19th. Sunday, October 19th. And then in Berlin, Sunday, November 9th, Falcons take on the Colts in Berlin. God, they are playing a lot of overseas games.
Yep.
This is
I think they're trying to get to the point where there's one every week.
Sunday, November 16th, Commanders versus the Dolphins in Madrid, in Spain. Knowing that Dolphins defense and the Commanders, will the Dolphins be using just red capes and just ole? That wasn't that funny, was it? Probably send that to rewrite and have them punch it up a little bit. And then, of course, Thanksgiving, always the Lions. Why do the Lions always get a home game? And the Cowboys always get a home game? Are you one of those that complains about that and thinks they should, as the Cars once sung, shake it up? Or do you not mind that the Lions have been getting one since 1934. I think they were the first original Thanksgiving Day game. It used to be just one. It started there, then it just kept repeating it. I mean, I like the tradition. Yeah, see, I was going to say, it really has nothing to do with being a Lions fan. I do like tradition. Lions always get a Thanksgiving.
They've had some bad teams over the years, and they've still always, yeah.
Now, Cowboys, I don't think they should get one. I don't care about tradition with them. And then the night game is always where they just throw. I think that's where they finally figured out we better do 3 because like you say, the Lions games have been duds oftentimes because the Lions have been terrible, so you don't have much of a game. And then same thing if the Cowboys are bad or the team they're playing is bad. Now at least you can, it's to be announced for the. Now I think they'll do that. They'll announce that Thanksgiving Day earlier. But my guess is they'll probably try to have it against 2 teams that they expect to be really good. Right? You're looking at the nightcap having like a Ravens Steelers, one of the matchup ones like that. Commanders Eagles. I don't know.
Weren't they going to do the Black Friday game this year too?
Yeah, and that's to be announced. So they don't have that's Taba against Taba. And they don't have there's no leak on that one yet. And I think those are the last. Yeah, those are the last of the leaks. Yeah. So there you go. Schedule release is scheduled for Wednesday where they do the entire primetime show. But that's not must-see TV as far as I'm concerned. It's sort of like the NFL draft. As much as I like the draft, I can wait and find out a little bit later who took who. Same with the NFL. I can wait to find out who the Vikings played week 15 once the next day comes and they throw the sky. Oh, let's take a look at it. So that's
how you approach Game 4, Wolves and Warriors, for gosh sakes. You're like, I'll go to bed at halftime,
well, that's
and I'll find out in the morning.
I might have to. Well, and it's not even if I want to. It's going to be I just don't know if I can make it through it.
That is another case of, and I get it. We're cutting hair. What's the saying? Cutting hairs?
Splitting hairs.
Yeah, splitting hairs. Tell me why the Wolves Warrior game doesn't start at 8:30 our time. Right? I know it's only a half hour.
Right.
But the game on is East Coast is 6:30 our time, 7:30 their time. They could easily start their games at 7. We start ours at, it'd be 6 o'clock here. It gives you another half hour on Wolves Warriors. Now when you start at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern, nobody on the East Coast is going to watch Wolves Warriors tonight. And even many in the Central Time Zone
won't. Yeah, you're right.
Timberwolves fans will, but the other people live in the Central. That just doesn't make sense. You could easily slice a half hour off. It doesn't hurt anybody. Why can't these television people think about this?
I agree with you. Here's a text message. It says, Derek Carr was drafted in 2014.
Huh?
He was drafted in 2002. He was drafted in 2014.
Number 1 overall by Houston.
Exactly.
We carried the draft on this station. I think we would know.
Common, have you said Lions decimated defense yet? Not. I haven't said it today. That was the kind of defense they employed last year, was the Vikings' decimated defense. Here's another one. Viking Cruises offers a vacation that goes from Dublin to London. Do we think this is how Rosen will travel from game to game this fall? We do know this is available to everyone, and it is. Anybody that
I
wants
always
it
love that one.
can do it.
Oh, you know he'll be at both.
Yeah.
Karn will go, and he'll tag along.
If Denver plays Minnesota in the next round and goes on to win the championship of the world, then Denver needs an asterisk because they were a team that only advanced due to the Steph Curry injury. It's the most preposterous thing I've ever heard. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I know where he's trying to go with it, but they
didn't play him.
Yeah, they didn't play him. So
if SGA went out with an injury, that would have an impact on that series.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's like, and I know, look, the idea, when you've been as hungry for a championship, hungry like a wolf, as the Wolves and the Wild and Twins and Vikings, right? It's been a long, long time. 91 since the Twins. Vikings have never won the whole thing, nor have the Wild or the Wolves. And when you feel like there it is, it's in your grasp, right? There's the brass ring. And then when the buffoon at noon comes with some sort of wet blanket by talking about, well, if you hoist that banner, it should have an asterisk attached to it because the Wolves are beating a Steph Curry-less Golden State Warriors club. You get angry and you get mad because you feel like, well, maybe you didn't think about it, and now you're thinking, why does he want to try to take away my enjoyment of a world championship and try to lessen it because a player was missing? Players get injured all the time. And I tried to explain it as, I don't literally mean there should be an asterisk. That was just a way to get into the topic. Say, they hoist the banner, there should be an asterisk in the corner. Why? Because Steph Curry wasn't there. But you can't deny that with Curry not, and I know there were other people when we talked about it last week, I was getting text messages and emails and talking about, what about when this guy was injured here and this guy over the years? What about Julius Randle was out? Well, yeah, Julius Randle was out for some regular season games, but he's back now. And if it's, I mean, you can miss a starter on a team, and I wouldn't say asterisk. We're talking about the greatest three-point shooter in history. I mean, this guy, how Steph Curry goes is generally how the Warriors. It would be like if Ant were taken out of the starting lineup. The team wouldn't be nearly. I don't think there would be a shadow of them former selves because Randall has done a really nice job. They have other good players. You take the best player off of any of these teams, and it's just not the same. If Joker got hurt tonight and was out, and the Thunder went on to win the series, well, you could say the Thunder might have won the series anyways, and they certainly could have. The series is tied at 2 games apiece. But without Joker, they're just not the same team. So don't have to apologize for beating them. You don't say, hey, could the NBA put a delay on the next few games so that Steph's back? Now, you did mention that if they get to a game 6.
Game 6, yep.
Is there like,
they get 3 days off between games 5 and 6.
And that 3 days could be enough to have him back ready for the line. Now, I even saw a story, and I don't know where it was.
They got to get to a game 6, though.
Right, they have to get to game 6. A story that he's already been working out, trying to test it. Now, he's not going full bore, but that was considered encouraging that he's actually up and trying to play. But again, then,
they might get to a game 6 and he just plays anyway. He's not even fully healthy yet, but hey, I
may as well give it a shot. And, and they can spot me up and I can try to knock down some threes. But then if he becomes a liability defensively, if he can't get up and down the floor at full speed, then that's not going to work either. So let's take a break. Another hour to go. This is going to be really controversial, Teneby.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Concession stand inspections at a local arena near you, and they weren't good. We'll take a look at that next. Common Man program on the Fan.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. On this week's episode of Math and Magic, I'm sitting down with the one and only Bobby Bones. We're exploring the power of audio.
Yeah, I don't fit into one specific hole. I think that is what endeared me to listeners. That's why I'm here now, because I talk to people that grew up like me, have sensibilities like me, and have loyalties like me.
Listen to Math and Magic, stories from the frontiers of marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.